Historically, when clinical geneticists wanted to give a genetic test to someone, they would look at one or two genes and one or two specific variants that were tied to a very specific condition. It turns out that approach to genetic testing only catches very rare diseases. The major burden of disease are not those rare diseases, but rather common diseases. We call these complex common diseases. Common meaning that they have a high prevalence in the population. In other words, they affect lots of individuals, and they're complex because they have a multifactorial etiology. Their causes are based on contributions from lots of genes and environmental factors. I believe that the future of genetic testing is polygenic. And what I mean by that is poly means many, and gene refers to genes. The reality is that these complex common diseases that affect so many of us, that entail such a burden on public health, are caused by changes in many, many genes around the genome. And the only way to get at those kinds of conditions is to analyze the entire genomic profile of patients. And this is what we call polygenic tests. So polygenic tests allow us to make inferences about individuals' risk for a complex common disease. And the really exciting thing about polygenic risk scores is it allows us to engage in preventative measures that actually can prevent the onset of disease. I mentioned before that these complex common diseases are caused by an interaction between genetic factors and the environment. So your genetics is not destiny. It has a lot to say about your health, but given your genetic profile, if we understand better your risk, we can then take the kinds of measures that are needed to mitigate that risk by changing the environment, by changing your diet, by perhaps changing your medication, by being aware of potential environmental exposures that could then trigger the onset of disease. So I'm very excited about the potential of polygenic risk scores to really improve our ability to predict individuals' genetic risk such that we can ultimately mitigate that risk before the disease is